Most riders are told the most capable motorcycles are the fastest ones. More horsepower, more electronics, more modes, progress neatly packaged. But if you've been riding long enough, you've seen how that promise ages. Dashboards fade faster than engines. Warning lights matter more than how the bike actually runs. Perfectly good machines get parked not because they're worn out, but because something electronic decided today was the day. Some of the most capable motorcycles ever engineered were never built to impress you in the first 5 minutes. They weren't designed for showroom floors or spec sheet comparisons. They were designed to keep working when maintenance wasn't perfect, conditions weren't ideal, and the rider had to rely on understanding instead of software. This isn't nostalgia, it's ownership reality. That's the lens for this list. And through it, a very different kind of motorcycle stands out. Number 10. Honda CX500. Plastic maggot that wouldn't die. The Honda CX500 never chased glamour, and that is precisely why it holds a seat at this table. Introduced in the late 1970s, it was Honda's attempts to build a standard base, essentially a stressed member of the frame, making the bike incredibly rigid for its time. The reality of capability. New, it was priced as a sensible choice for the working man. Today, it is a cult icon. Why? Because of its thermal stability. You can sit in gridlocked traffic for 2 hours in 100-degree heat, and the CX500 will not complain. Unlike many modern bikes, where the cylinders are buried under layers of plastic and wiring, the CX500's heads are proudly exposed. Contrary to popular myth, valve adjustments are incredibly simple. You can do them on a sidewalk in 20 minutes. It outlasts modern middleweights because its drivetrain is essentially a miniature truck transmission. It is the ultimate courier bike, built for the person who measures a trip in years, not miles. Number 9. Suzuki DR650, the eternal thumper. The Suzuki DR650 exists almost entirely outside the constraints of time. First released in the mid-90s and sold virtually unchanged for decades, it is a rolling rebuttal to the newer is better argument. It runs an air and oil-cooled 650cc single-cylinder that produces a humble 43 horsepower. The engineering is understressed. It isn't trying to squeeze every ounce of power out of its piston, which means the internal components aren't screaming under tension. The frame is simple steel, and the bodywork is minimal. There is no fuel pump to fail, no radiator to puncture, no ride-by-wire throttle to glitch out. The reality of capability. This bike is for the rider who values self-sufficiency above all else. It is the antithesis of the modern adventure bike. Number 8. R80 GS, the birth of a legend. Before adventure was a multi-billion-dollar marketing category, there was the R80 GS. Launched in 1980, it was a weird, tall, gangly machine that combined a street-touring boxer engine with long travel suspension and a 21-inch front wheel. The engineering used the Airhead Boxer Twin, a design so simple it looks like it belongs on a tractor. It produced about 50 horsepower, but the torque was flat and usable from idle. The monolever rear suspension was a breakthrough, integrating the shaft drive into a single swing arm. The reality of capability. The R80 GS is capable because of its transparency. You can see every moving part. You can feel every mechanical click. Its weight distribution is low, making it remarkably stable on loose gravel compared to the top-heavy giants of today. While modern ADVs have 150 horsepower, the R80 GS has something better: mechanical feedback. You know exactly what the rear tire is doing because there is no traction control filtering the experience. It rewards the rider who wants to be a mechanic, not just a passenger. Number 7. Yamaha XT500, the brutal simplicity of the thumper. The Yamaha XT500 was never engineered to impress a crowd at a bike meet. It was engineered to survive the Sahara. When it was released in 1975, it signaled the return of the big 4-stroke single, an engine type many thought was dead. The engineering is a study of enough. 32 horsepower is enough. A 5-speed gearbox is enough. A massive flywheel gives the engine a rhythmic, unstoppable chug that allows it to find traction where multi-cylinder bikes just spin their tires. The reality of capability. This bike requires a handshake to start. There is no electric start button, there is only a kick lever at a decompression trigger. This weeds out the casual rider. But for those who master it, the XT500 offers field repairability that is unmatched. You can take the entire top end of the engine apart with the tools under the seat. It is a bike of intentional compromises. It's slow on the highway, and the drum brakes are terrifying by modern standards, but in terms of pure mechanical endurance, it is a masterpiece. Number 6. KLR 650, Gen 1, the cockroach of motorcycles. If the world ended tomorrow, only two things would survive: cockroaches and the first-generation Kawasaki KLR 650. This liquid-cooled single was the budget choice for decades, but its low price tag hid a staggering level of durability. The engineering was designed with a massive fuel tank, 6.1 gallons, and a luggage rack that looked like it belonged on a pack mule. It was built for the rider who needed to cross a desert on a shoestring budget. The reality of capability. It is not an elegant bike. It vibrates, the suspension is mushy, and the styling is dated. However, it possesses a will to live that is legendary. Every KLR owner knows about the doohickey, the balancer chain tensioner, a small part that Kawasaki should have fixed but never did. But once a rider spends $50 in an afternoon fixing that one flaw, the bike becomes essentially invincible. It will carry 100 pounds of gear over a mountain pass without overheating, and it will do it for 20 years straight. It is the ultimate tool for the traveler who cares more about the destination than the equipment.
Number 5. Moto Guzzi Le Mans 850, the endurance athlete. The Moto Guzzi Le Mans was born in an era when sport didn't mean a 10-minute sprint on a closed circuit. It meant the ability to maintain a blistering pace from one side of Europe to the other. Introduced in 1976, it was a machine built with a heavy-duty industrial soul. The engineering. At the heart of the Le Mans is the iconic transverse 90-degree V-twin. Unlike the high-strung, high RPM engines of its Italian rivals, the Guzzi engine was massive, air-cooled, and simple. It utilized a heavy flywheel and a shaft drive, providing a gyroscopic stability that made the bike feel like it was carved from a single block of granite. It produced roughly 71 horsepower, a figure that, when combined with its massive torque, allowed for effortless high-speed cruising. The reality of capability. The Le Mans is a master of sustained momentum. While modern sport bikes are lighter and flickable, they are often flighty and exhausting over long distances. The Guzzi is the opposite. It is planted. At 100 miles per hour, it feels more stable than most modern bikes feel at 60. Maintenance is refreshingly logical. Because the cylinders poke out into the airstream, adjusting the valves is as easy as sitting on a stool and turning a wrench. It outperforms modern machines in mechanical longevity. There are Le Mans engines with 200,000 miles on the original crank, a testament to an era when performance meant permanence. Number 4. Honda Africa Twin XR-V 750, the Desert Queen. Before the adventure market was flooded with 600-pound luxury cruisers with heated seats and cruise control, there was the XR-V 750. This was a bike born directly from the fires of the Paris-Dakar rally. It wasn't just a commuter with off-road styling, it was a genuine HRC, Honda Racing Corporation, effort to build the ultimate globetrotter. The engineering. The 742cc V-twin was tuned for 60 horsepower, a conservative number that prioritized reliability over drama. Build quality was and remains the gold standard for Honda. Every weld, every fastener, and every fairing clip was designed to withstand the relentless vibration of corrugated desert roads. It featured a robust aluminum bash plate and long travel suspension that was actually valved for performance, not just comfort. The reality of capability is the Africa Twin's definition of mechanical coherence. It is perfectly balanced. It manages its weight in a way that modern 1200cc behemoths cannot replicate. It is the choice of the rider who wants to travel across Mongolia, not because it has the most features, but because it has the most trust. You can fix a fuel pump or a regulator on the side of a trail with basic hand tools. It outperforms modern adventure bikes by offering a lighter, more tactile experience without the digital filter of ride-by-wire throttles and interventionist ABS. Number 3. BMW Rand 100 RS, the first true Grand Tourer. In 1976, the R100 RS was a revolution. It was the first production motorcycle in history to be equipped with a frame-mounted full fairing designed in a wind tunnel. Before this bike, touring meant wearing a leather jacket and fighting the wind for 8 hours. The R100 RS changed the human-machine interface forever. The engineering, it utilized the big block 1000cc airhead boxer engine, producing a steady 70 horsepower. The fairing wasn't just for looks, it created a pocket of still air for the rider, drastically reducing fatigue. It featured the BMW ATE pivoting brake calipers and a rock-solid shaft drive. Its capability lies in fatigue management. You can ride an R100 RS for 800 miles in a day and arrive feeling human. It doesn't have the high-frequency vibration of an inline-4 or the heat issues of a modern fairing-wrapped sport tourer. It is a bike designed for the long game. Maintenance is consistent and predictable. The boxer layout means everything is accessible. Its advantage over modern bikes is the simplicity of its high-speed performance. There are no electronic suspension modes to fail, just good geometry and a fairing that works better today than most modern screens. Number 2. Suzuki GS 1100G, the Iron Sledgehammer. In the early 1980s, the Universal Japanese Motorcycle, UJM, reached its peak with the Suzuki GS 1100G. This was a bike built with zero compromises in the engine room. It was an air-cooled, 16-valve inline-4 powerhouse that produced 100 horsepower in an era when that number was terrifying. The Suzuki's TSSC technology made this engine more efficient and more powerful than anything in its class, but the G model was the real hero. It featured a shaft drive and a heavy-duty frame designed for touring. It was an engine that could not be killed. The reality of capability is the GS 1100G is about unfettered power and drivetrain durability. Modern bikes often use thin-walled castings to save weight. The GS 1100G used thick, heavy-duty alloys. It is a bike that can be loaded with a passenger and 2 weeks of gear and still pull like a freight train up a mountain pass. It outperforms modern bikes in its workhorse capacity. It isn't a delicate instrument, it is a sledgehammer. It's for the rider who wants 100 horsepower but never wants to worry about a drive chain or a radiator ever again. Number 1. Honda CB750 SOHC, the origin of excellence. There is a reason the Honda CB750 is called the motorcycle of the century. When it arrived in 1969, it didn't just compete with the existing market, it rendered it obsolete overnight. It offered 4 cylinders, an electric starter, a front disc brake, and oil-tight cases for a price that the average worker could afford. The SOHC engine was a masterpiece of mass production. It was smooth, reliable, and powerful, 67 horsepower. Honda used their experience in Grand Prix racing to create an engine that revved freely but could also sit in a garage for a decade and start on the third kick. The reality of capability is the CB750 takes the top spot because it represents mechanical honesty. It is the most transparent motorcycle ever made. Every cable, every nut, and every bolt is exactly where it should be. It taught a generation of riders how to maintain their own machines. It still outperforms modern bikes in its purity of purpose. It doesn't need user modes because the engine itself is the mode. Docile at low speeds, screaming and soulful high speeds. It is a machine that proved reliability and performance are not mutually exclusive. It didn't just change the industry, it set a standard for capability that we are still trying to get back to today.